Hello, this is Ginger's Greetings here on YouTube and on Instagram, and this is my best thumbnail yet, like if you agree. Today, I'm going to be talking about how gay I am for my girlfriend, as recommended by my girlfriend. Hi, sweetheart, I know you're watching, and I love you so much. If you've watched my other videos, you might know that after some really tough crap went down, I've been taking the time to be comfortably unemployed, and the entire reason I can do that is thanks to my lovely girlfriend. They allow me to dedicate so much of my time to making video content, letting me have fun and be creative and expressive in a way I've never gotten to be before. And in return, I like to ask them occasionally what kind of content they want to see on my channel. I don't always take every recommendation, of course. It's still up to my preference and what I think I'm capable of doing. But if you think I would turn down any opportunity to gush about how wonderful they are, you're wrong. There's a lot of different things I could talk about, but I think I'm going to start with the basics. How we met, what kind of person they are, and of course, I've got a couple of fun stories to share. If you like slow burn and tooth-rottingly sweet, happy gays, please stick around. Also, just for clarification's sake, I'm Pan, my girlfriend's gay, we both use they, them pronouns, and though they like a lot of feminine titles, I prefer more neutral ones. I hope that clears some things up. To start off our story, let's flash back to 5.5 years ago when I was but a small gay being heading off to college with high hopes and lots of trauma. It was orientation week, an entire 7 days dedicated to letting all the extroverts socialize and making the introverts ask who thought this would make a less overwhelming transition, because I haven't had a single moment to breathe and I must be in hell. Our university integrates mandatory community service into its orientation week. All the freshmen are randomly put into groups and set loose across campus and the local community to do whatever it is the school assigned to them. Before that, though, everyone gets shoved into an auditorium space, where as long as they're in their general letter area, they can basically do whatever. That was where we met. On the left side of the section was a group of very average-looking students who'd quickly grown comfortable and flocked together. On the right was a single loner with shaved, colorful hair and small glasses. Their face was buried in their phone, and it was clear they weren't exactly comfortable. Presented with two choices, the left or the right, my choice is simple. Can I sit here? I asked them. I've never been great at making friends. Most of the time, people have to approach me first. But as soon as I saw them, something told me that they were my kind of person. Usually, this means they're a nerd, they're queer, or they're traumatized. More often than not, it's a combination of the three, even if they might not know it themselves yet. Meanwhile, they have this look on their face that tells me they might not want to be bothered. But I went for it anyway, because the worst thing that could happen is I get ignored, we don't talk, and I stay up all night thinking about how awkward that interaction was, and dear God, why did I ever try to make friends? Sure. The response was curt, and as soon as I sat down, they immediately went back into their phone. Normally, I would have just assumed they wanted nothing to do with me, and I should shut up and stop talking. But I didn't, for some reason. I put my best foot forward, and feeling confident that I found someone to relate to, I started asking questions. What's your name? What are you majoring in? Are you enjoying orientation? I berated them with conversation, and thankfully they were responsive. They told me that they were majoring in graphic design, and that they missed the previous days of orientation. This was their first day, and I was the first person to talk to them, which, looking back on it, feels like the beginning to some cheesy coming-of-age romance, but we were both dating other people at the time, so it wasn't on our minds. Or at least it wasn't on mine. But we'll get to that. The time comes where we're shuffled into the auditorium, and we follow the underpaid student staff to our community service location, the campus daycare. I'll be honest, it feels a little weird to do community service at a location monetarily benefiting the campus we're paying money to go to, but I actually ended up working for the office that organizes the community service events, and I'm pretty sure the main reason they did this is because the local town is very small, and sometimes they either can't find enough people who need volunteers on the same day, or people cancel. Basically, it was assigned to address the overflow. We were split into even smaller groups when we got to our location, and things would have been very different if we hadn't been assigned to the same group. But the two of us, as well as some other girl, were assigned to clean what looked almost like a small classroom, a nice, quiet recluse away from the hustle and bustle of a hectic week. Now, what do you do when you get a fellow awkward queer-looking individual in a room with you? You not so subtly vibe check them by asking if they like Lindsay Sterling and if they've ever heard of Night Vale and or Homestuck. Thankfully, this did not scare them away, which was a fantastic sign for me. Also, the other girl didn't know what we were talking about, but she was a very good sport. 10 out of 10 would appreciate vibing in the same room as her again. I'd overcome the obstacle of initiating conversation, and we established mutual interest. When we were done, all that was left was to walk back to our dorms together and ask the most nerve-wracking question. Do you want to exchange phone numbers? Maybe we could hang out sometime, I asked, a hopeful note to my voice. This was it. This would be the moment that I would make my first friend on campus, and I held my breath as they spoke. I don't know. Yep, that's what they said to me. I don't know. Darling, I love you, but I will never let you live that down. Apparently, they were just being a dumb anxiety gay, but I obviously took it as meaning I don't know if I want to hang out with you. And honestly, that was crushing. We still exchanged numbers, but my hopes of making a friend through my own efforts had been dashed, and I didn't expect anything else to come of it. Thankfully, they made the second push, which was to ask me if I wanted to come to see a play they were watching for class. This was actually where we met our mutual best friend, and after the three of us watched gay werewolf movies late into the night and trauma dumped to each other in the cafeteria, after less of a week of knowing each other, we became inseparable. I think an important thing to establish at this point was our romantic situations. I'm monogamous, and came into school already dating someone. Meanwhile, they were polyamorous, dating multiple someones, and open for more. Of course, they vibe-checked me without me noticing, and when they found out I was monogamous and taken, they respected that, which I appreciate. They were biding their time, though, waiting for the moment I would become single, which eventually, briefly, I did. But I found myself in another relationship soon after, which left them waiting for another 2 years. In the end, they were crushing on me for 3.5 years before we started dating. Yep, it was the classic one-sided pining you see in fanfic. Except I wasn't completely clueless as a love interest. I'm an extremely oblivious person, to the point where my friends have to grab me by the back of the jacket because I was talking and I didn't realize we were about to walk into the street. My girlfriend, however, was also not subtle at all. They dated a mutual friend of ours at the time, and I would hear them laughing and whispering to each other. If I'm being honest, I played into being clueless a little bit, because I didn't want to have to reject one of my best friends. I also thought that they got over me fairly quickly. After I started dating someone new and my workload picked up, I didn't have a lot of time to spend with friends. I was actually really sad because they thought I didn't want to hang out with them, and despite my efforts to reach out, they started pulling away from me. My darling is one of the sweetest people you'll ever meet, but they're also very sensitive and have a lot of social anxiety. We did eventually start talking more again, but between that and going abroad, I figured that any feelings they had were probably done. Apparently, they actually tried to get over me while I was gone, but they're a hopeless romantic, and thankfully for us now, that did not work. Flash forward to my senior year, near the beginning of the pandemic, where I am not only burnt out from school, but desperately hoping we don't get sent home for the rest of the semester. Me and my boyfriend mutually break up, and unbeknownst to me, my very gay best friend is practically vibrating in the background. I need you to know this next bit is one of my favorite stories, so please don't click off. Being both the cute nerd and hopeless romantic they are, they start working on a playlist of songs to confess to me with, which honestly would have been very traditionally adorable. I would have really enjoyed that. But life had other plans in the form of a card game called the voting game. Other than just calling people out, the voting game is a card game where you're given a prompt and everyone votes for the person they think best fits the prompt, aka who has a friend they'd rather be dating. Of course, the rest of my friends aren't as oblivious as I am. The vote goes entirely to my very gay, vibrating friend, and I'm sitting there mostly confused. So everyone else knows who it is? I ask. I'm getting a feeling, but I don't know anything for certain. Meanwhile, they're worried that I'm genuinely upset, and the gentle soul they are, they drop all of their plans and point a single finger in my direction. It's you. I'm pretty sure my face was red as a tomato, and theirs was too. Also, that our entire friend group was relieved to hear that however this went, the almost 4 years of gay pining were finally coming to a conclusion. Even if that conclusion was telling me spontaneously over some dumb card game. I still think that's iconic, and I wouldn't have had it any other way. Now, at the time, I didn't have feelings for them. But they were one of my best friends, and while I didn't want to string them along, I wanted to give it a chance. We weren't anything official, but we decided to go on a couple dates to see if we'd work out. And that's how we started. 4 years of pining followed by the big confession over a silly card game in the common area. In a couple of weeks, we'll be celebrating our 2-year anniversary, and I don't think anything could make me happier than seeing their precious smile when I tell them that I'm excited for every year we get to spend together going forward. My girlfriend is sweet and kind. They love to cook and snooze 2 hours worth of alarms after we stay up too late playing Skyrim together. They make weird food concoctions with my sibling, which I refuse to touch, until I don't, and then I regret my life. And more than anything, they're warm. So warm, in fact, that sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night boiling. But also so warm in the way that when they're by my side, I don't think I'll ever be lonely again. I love them. I love you, hon. But Kate, we still have questions. Yeah, I figured this was gonna come up. I'm not allowed to just have a sweet ending to the video. No, I have to answer questions that I assume the viewer will have, and most likely no one but my girlfriend is going to make it to this point of the video. If you did make it to this point, by the way, how about you tell me your favorite animal in the comments? Knowing even one person made it here would really brighten up my day like you wouldn't believe. My girlfriend started university identifying as being polyamorous, and I'm monogamous. Can a monogamous person date someone who's polyamorous, and how does that work? Well, the simple answer is it's going to be different for everyone. My girlfriend wasn't the first person I dated who identified as poly. My first time around, I honestly didn't care as long as I knew who my partner was pursuing and or dating, and it didn't affect the time and attention they gave me. Except it did. This person consistently slept through our study halls together after staying up late video calling their new love interest, which was the only time we got to sit down together in the day. And later on, this guy actually ended up apologizing to me when my own partner was impatient to boot me off a group call so they could do stuff together. So yeah, that didn't go well. But my now girlfriend had been in polyamorous relationships for a very long time and was currently dating 3 other people. I would be their 4th, in an open on one end and closed on the other situation. I knew I was going to be treated well. I wasn't concerned about that. What I was concerned about was how my anxiety has worsened over time, and with it, my jealousy. It was something I struggled with through the beginning of our relationship. And while I did communicate that to my girlfriend, I also tried to make it very clear that I wanted them to do whatever made them happy. Honestly, learning to communicate my feelings, however unfounded, has done wonders in our relationship and for myself. Hi, hon. I have a really dumb brain, but I know you love me. At the same time, my girlfriend was also going through a bit of a crisis on whether or not they were poly. It was an incredibly tricky situation because I wanted to give them support, but I felt like I was too much of a biased party to give any real advice. In the end, they decided they just wanted to date me, and that's how it's been ever since. I want to make it clear that a monogamous person should never go into this kind of relationship expecting it to work out this way. I certainly didn't. But this is how it worked out for us, and as long as we're happy with it, then that should be fine, right? The other thing I omitted was when we actually started dating for real. Did they ask me out with the playlist? Or did we skip to the fanfare and just go, yep, we're basically dating already, so let's slap a label on it and call it a day? Neither. I was determined to ask them out, and I started working on a 13-panel storybook-style comic, which doesn't sound terrible until you realize that I was doing this between classes and work. It took me a month and a half, and every couple days our friends asked us, "Are you guys official yet?" in exasperation. The comic was called Chester the Bun, and it's about a cute little bun going on an adventure to send a letter from an unidentified redhead, cough cough me, to an unidentified other person, cough cough my girlfriend. Looking back, I'm actually pleasantly surprised at the quality. My art's changed a lot over the years, but I looked at a lot of references when I did this, and it shows. I should probably do that more. Anyway, that's all I have for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the story of my girlfriend and I getting together and us being awkward gays. Feel free to let me know if you want to hear more stories about us, or if you have any other ideas for videos I should make. Leave them in the comments. I love to hear from you guys. This has been Kate, otherwise known as Ginger's Greetings, here on YouTube and on Instagram, and I hope you all have a lovely day. Bye-bye!